Guys, welcome back to another episode of Limitless. With me, as per usual, I have Christina Tindale. Christina, how you doing?
Hey Zoghi, I am well. I am looking forward to our conversation, the last one of the year for
Yeah.
2023.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
2023. That's already a big number, and then it's the last month of it. It happens so quick,
I know.
and but here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, so I've heard you speak about this before, and I would love to touch on it again. Like, I'm curious, how are you going to wrap up your year? Like, what do you have anything that you do
Any
to sort of
rituals?
Yeah, like, are you gonna, anything you're gonna burn outside in the yard? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well, I do remember we ran a retreat once, and you ladies burnt your underwear. I wasn't part of that ritual, but this is a true story. At one retreat, it was a very exclusive retreat, and but Christina and a bunch of the ladies, they had this women ritual, and I don't know, but we kind of walked out and we saw you guys around the campfire, and then you were burning underwear. What was that about?
It's funny because that is not what our retreats are about at all. That was
No.
a very
That was more of a team thing, if anything.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So
It was
you guys were burning your underwear, which was really weird. I mean, are you okay if I discuss this? I kind of just threw you on the bus.
No, I think it's funny you brought it up. We had just like such a powerful day, like in circle, which is what the retreats really are about. Like, and as women, like, it just so happened that day really had to do a lot with, us as women and embracing like some of the pain that we carry as women, and also like embracing then also what's underneath that pain, which was just really beautiful, like the transformation that a lot of us experienced. And it was very much in the moment, like, we were around the campfire, like we do often on those retreats, and the music was playing, and someone else, I won't call them out, like initiated it, but then we all joined in, and it was one of those things where like it just felt like in the moment like a really empowering thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's just how it unfolded. So it wasn't like a planned thing.
I know, and for someone who's hearing this, they're like, okay, that's a bit weird. Maybe they're thinking that, or maybe they're thinking maybe we could do it too. But the biggest piece you're missing out here is exactly what took place in that retreat circle. And I remember there was, predominantly women. We were in a group of like 10 or 12 of us at that retreat. And like I said, this is more of an internal. It's what I call my FTW retreat. So it's not the general public. It's more of the team, more of the people I've been working with for many years. And anyway, we're in this retreat circle, and predominantly it's women, as it normally is. And there was 3 males, one of them being myself. And I just remembered the women in that group were really expressing this raw honesty. And one of them like expressed like the fear they would have around males or around men, and the non-trusting, like not being able to completely trust men, and what amazed me, I think I was going to say it as a joke. I can't remember how it came across, but I was like, "Well, do you trust me?" And it was like, "Well, no," and I was just like the floor disappeared. I'm like, wow, like the reservation that the women have, like they can't completely trust men. And it wasn't like, oh, she couldn't trust me because I'm an asshole, or, anything. Like, it's just it's a man thing. She just couldn't trust the masculine. And I just felt in that moment where she was so honest and said, I can't trust you. Like, and I was just like, And I felt that she was telling the truth. Like, it was so raw what she shared. And, you know, and I wasn't taking that personally. I was like, in that moment, I kind of dropped in. I was like, wow, this is what it's like for women. Like, generally, there is like, you know, if I was a woman, like, I would always have to kind of watch out. You know, I can't suddenly walk a street by myself that I'm unfamiliar with, you know, because there could be a man that might want to take advantage, might want to manipulate. Like, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like I just felt this tenderness. And for a sec, when she said, no, I don't trust you, it took me, and I kind of felt what it was like, you know, from their view. I mean, I could never say what it was like because I've always been a male. Some people say I have feminine energy because I speak about what I speak about. But, you know, for me, I believe we have both masculine and feminine. So just to put that out there. But just for that moment, I felt the fear that women had to live with. You know, and it wasn't like they live with it every day. It's just in the back of their head. It's somewhere like, you know, can I trust you? Can I, you know, are you going to manipulate me? Are you going to take advantage of me? And you know, and I just, you know, when I felt that, I kind of just responded, and I can't remember my exact words. Maybe you'll remember, Christina, but it was just like, you know what? I feel you. Because I did. Like, I felt not just her, but women. And that's right. I remember saying, I see you and I feel you.
Yeah.
And
that was it.
That was it. And it was just, that's what came out. And I think the other men that were in there, they start to drop in to see, after I said that, they kind of dropped into that as well. And it was just like, wow. Like, and, you know, I have a daughter, you know, and there should never be any danger for a woman or anyone, you know, as a human being. We shouldn't live with the danger that someone could potentially, you know, overpower us or take advantage of us, or you know, I mean, it doesn't. I'm not talking about, you know, physical. It could be emotional. It could be, you know, women at work, you know, in the corporate ladder, for example. Like, it's not. I'm not just talking about physical here. So yeah, it was just a moment where I just kind of just dropped in, and I was like, wow, you know, I see you and I feel you, and that's, I don't know, the coaching circle really connected then. We all connected, and we all, something special took place. And then we started to share, and the men shared and the women shared more. And of course that night, the men were watching, the football was on. So we were watching the football.
Such a stereotypical, like, the men
I know, right?
in the living room,
total,
and the women.
Total. And it just happened to be like it was a big game, and you know. So that, as you can see, this was not a typical retreat. I wouldn't be watching football. It was more of a friends kind of retreat. And you know, we were watching the football, and then we could hear noises during the breaks when we turned the volume down of the football. What is that noise? What is it? And we look outside, and we see the fires getting bigger, and there's people dancing around it. We stepped out, and we go, "What are you guys doing?" And all we saw was you guys chucking your underwear in. You had clothes on. I just want to point that out. You all had clothes on. You were chucking your underwear in, and then we were like, "I think this is. We need to leave them to do what they need to do." And of course, we left you guys be. So that's the story. And
it was perfect that's how it happened, because the women, like, that night, getting to just be together in that energy was really special. And I feel like after having released a lot during that day, and just acknowledging things that, like you said, are like so deep below the surface that we're not acknowledging on a daily basis, that we just live with, then, like, being seen and heard and felt in that created such an opening that I feel like that night then became like this cathartic like celebration.
Yeah.
And it's, it was almost as a joke, but like it was just turned out to actually be really a fun part of that, just getting to throw our underwear in the fire,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but there's something, just tying back to my question with you, there's something like in what you're saying about just acknowledging, like acknowledging what you've been through, acknowledging where you're at. I don't know if that's part of your end of your practice anymore, but I remember at one point you sharing about that.
Yeah, well, yeah, back to our original question, right? Like, do I have any rituals like that? Look, I think the end of the year is there's something special about the end of the year. It's when the clock resets. It's when, we've traveled around. We travel around the sun, right? Yes.
Yes.
We've traveled around the sun once,
Yeah.
another travel, another orbit around the sun. So, it's just a special time. It's, and then obviously it's the festive season as well. Usually people take some time for a break. It's in Australia in particular, it's our summer. Which is kind of weird for many people because Christmas, they're associated with winter. But it's our summer break. So usually the Australians here, we kind of off for about, 3 to 4 weeks sometimes. So, it's a good opportunity to reflect. And that key word for me, and like you just use, is when I reflect, I acknowledge where I'm at. I'm not judging where I'm at. I'm not. I'm acknowledging where I'm at, and I'm embracing that. It's not like, well, I should have been here, or even, wow, I'm further. I achieved so much more than I thought I was going to achieve. To me, none of that is important, because the next year could be completely different. So I don't measure it that way. I just acknowledge, where I am, who I've become is probably the most important thing. I'm not looking to measure what I've done this year. I used to. I used to sit back and reflect about, wow, look what I've accomplished this year. I got my pilot license. I did this. I did, and that's nice, but if you're measuring what you've done, then you're also receptive and open to measure what you haven't done. Maybe this year you've done more than what you haven't done, but next year you might notice that you've done, you feel like you've gone backwards. You lost a business, you failed this relationship, or, your health has deteriorated. And then if you're measuring yourself that way, you're always going to go up and down every year. So for me, it's acknowledging where I'm at. And the best way I do that is to look at who I've become, because it's not about what I've gained or what I've lost. It's who I've become from that gain and loss. And that's special. And there's a relationship that I find myself having with the person that I've become. Like there's a joy. That's what's real for me. It's like, what it's. You could look at, wow, this year I've lost this, I've gained it. Like, to me, it's not, like I said, at one point I used to do that. And at one point I would even sit down and write down all the things that I want to accomplish next year, whether it was, what do they call it? New Year's ritual, New Year's resolution. That's it.
Yeah.
New Year's resolution. What do I want to achieve next year? And, at one point, many, many, many years ago, I used to do that. But I don't. I acknowledge where I am. I've acknowledged who I've become. If anything, I acknowledge who I feel I'm becoming, and that's not, it's not measured by what I will do or what I will have or create. It's really who I'm becoming. So And there's a feeling about that, It's like you can feel that you have changed, that you have transformed. Your view of the world changes every year. But you can also feel who you're becoming. It's almost like you're giving birth to another version of yourself into this moment. So, I think it is a special time of the year. I think I definitely create space for me to sit down and reflect. But I'm not looking to, attain, there's a mantra. I've shared this in a lot of my coachings with my clients, and maybe I've shared it on podcasts in the past, but there's a mantra that I repeat and I teach others to do the same. And that is, there's nowhere to be, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to accomplish, there's nothing to figure out. And, you may think to yourself, well, hang on, well, there is lots, there is somewhere to be. I want to be at this place in my life this time next year. There is things I want to do. I didn't come here not to do anything. There's all these things I want to do. Well, there is something I've come to accomplish. Why would I say there's nothing to accomplish? And I have so many questions. There's things I want to figure out. And why would I not, and it's not, I'm not saying there's this power when you are in a moment where you have acknowledged that right now there's nowhere to be. And right now, in this moment, you acknowledge that there is nothing to do. And right now, in this moment, you acknowledge that in this moment, right now, there's nothing to accomplish. And right now, in this moment, there's nothing to figure out. That doesn't mean things won't get done and things won't be accomplished. It will mean it will be. But it's that, what I like to say, it's not the little me, the little Amir that's trying to accomplish it. When I say there's nothing to accomplish, the little me sits back down. The big me then rises through me, rises as me. And what I accomplish from that space is beyond, it's immeasurable. Like I didn't even think it's possible. I'll give you an example of this. And again, for those who know my story, they may be hearing this for the second time. But, when I decided that, what, there was a point I decided in 2013 that, I'm not going to speak anymore. I was traveling around the world, different city, most weekends. I got to a place where I went, I'm not going to speak anymore. I was going to take a step back from that. I won't go into the whole reason of why. Look, that's another process. But the process that I want to share with you is what became clear to me after I made that decision is that, I want to become a pilot. I want to fulfill a childhood dream that I had to become a pilot. I never did it for many reasons, whether finances, I wasn't smart enough, didn't go to university, many reasons. And I thought, I'm going to go and become a pilot. So for the next, I remember I started in 2013 in August. And by 2014 in May, I was, got my private pilot license and as well had my aerobatic endorsement as well. So in a short time, a lot was accomplished. And I just remember, and let me just add to that, soon after that, I ended up buying my own aircraft. And very soon after that, I ended up actually getting my commercial pilot license. And soon after that, I around the same time, I should say, I invested into an aviation business, which I still currently own. And that's called Red Baron. And so, but what I want to share here is that, back when I realized, I want to fulfill, I've got this love to fly. Why have I, and I just want to say that when I was 16, I went solo in an aircraft. So I flew an aircraft by myself before I actually got my driver's license. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think many people could say that.
Well, it's true story. And there's a lot of pilots who have done that. So it's not a big accomplishment.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
because the rules are different. You can go solo in an aircraft, before you're actually old enough to get your driver's license. And I remember I had my learner's driver's license, and please don't arrest my mother for this or judge her. But I remember going, because when you had your learner's driver's license, you have to sit with a fully licensed driver. And there was times where I needed to go somewhere quickly, and I go, Mum, can I just, and she wasn't available. I said, can I just take the car myself, Mum? She's like, well, no, you don't have a license. So I go, Mum, they let me fly a plane by myself. Don't you think I can drive a car by myself? And she went, oh, yes, good point. Okay. And I would take the car out. Sure. So, that happened a couple of times. And luckily, I never got in trouble for it. And luckily, nothing bad happened from it. But anyway, of course, there's lots of ways that could have gone wrong. But the point is, I accomplished so much in a very short amount of time. From 2013, like I said, by May 2014, so I started in August 2013. By the time I was, 2014, 2015, I was running my own aviation business, commercial pilot, like something I never thought I would accomplish, taking people up for aerobatic joy flights, etc. Now, here's the thing. This is the part, like, you probably think to yourself, well, you accomplished that because, you were clear about your goals. Well, here's the thing. I'm a big advocate about, doing what you're doing because you're doing it, not because of the reason, not because of the outcome. So what would happen is when I went back to flying, I sat down with my instructor, John Latinovich. I remember him still. I don't remember many people's names, but I remember him. He was a great instructor. So anyway, he sat me down and he goes to me, hey, what's your goals? What do you want to accomplish? This is after I did my first flight. And when I did my first flight, I hadn't flown for like 15 years, just to give you an idea. So I had to learn how to fly again. Like, it was starting from scratch. And so he sat me down and said, where do you want to go with this? I said, I want to fly. He goes, I know you want to fly, but what do you want to achieve? Do you want to get your commercial pilot license? Maybe you can become an instructor. He's looking at me and like, I'm older now. He's like, he's probably not going to go in the airlines. And I was like, no, I don't want to go airlines. I'm not looking for a job. I'm just looking to get my pilot license. He goes, do you want to get your commercial? Because there's a different path if you want to get your commercial pilot license, right? You can become a full-time student and all this. And I just said to him, listen, I didn't want to say, I don't have any goals. I don't want to focus on the outcome or result. I just want to do what I love. I have this passion for flying. And sure, I'm going to feel this level of accomplishment when I get to go flying solo again for the second time in my life, because there's nothing like going solo for the first time. And the second time was just as good. But in the meantime, I'm still flying, but I've got your fat ass next to me, kind of thing. So, but I'm still flying. So, what became really important for me was, I don't want to make this into, this is what I want to do next. I just stopped speaking and I'm going to go now invest into becoming a pilot and invest into becoming, no, none of that. I didn't have anything clear. The only thing that I had clear is I love flying. In fact, funny story with this, when I went solo, if you look at my logbook, I went solo within I have to go look back, but it was something ridiculous. It was like 6 or 8 hours, like maybe 10. Wow. It was very small. I need to look at my logbook again and know these facts. But I went solo really quick. I think I was 15 or 16. I think I was. 16. So I went solo. And the second time when I came back, I was, 2013. How old was I then? That was 10 years ago. I was 35. Okay. So 35 years of age, it took me so much more. It took me so much more, more training in hours before my instructor let me go solo, to the point where I was like, maybe I've just lost this. I couldn't get it right. Like, I couldn't I wasn't safe enough. I wasn't consistent enough in order for my instructor to go, okay, I'm going to step out of the plane now. You can go do 3 patterns, 3 takeoff and landings. And I started to lose a bit of confidence. And I was just like, maybe, like, I mean, when I was younger, I did it so good. Maybe I just don't have it. And I thought to myself, maybe it's not my thing anymore. Maybe it is exactly that. It was just a childhood dream. And I came to realize in that moment, when I considered just giving it up, or, being less committed, I don't know if I was going to give it up, but I was going to kind of, just cut back a bit, not invest as much money, invest in much time, just take a back seat. And then I thought, but I love this. And that's the key. It's like, I love it. So then it was like, giving up was not an option, because I'm giving up on a part of myself. I'm giving up on a part of myself that is love, a part of myself that makes me happy. So it was just not an option to give up. So I just continued, and that was my first hurdle in aviation. And of course, I ended up going solo. But long story short, look at what I accomplished in aviation in such a short amount of time, and I was not clear about my goals. In fact, I refused to, set a goal. Well, all I would do is set my intention on what I love. But I love this. They would ask me, what's your goals? Do you want to become I just love flying. Like, can we go flying? And that's been my, back then I was kind of a little bit afraid of saying, I was more, not afraid is not the right word. I was more reserved in saying, you know what, I don't have any goals. Let's just go flying. Because everyone believes that you need to have goals in order for you to succeed in something. Well, no, I just had a love. I had a passion. And I accomplished a lot of things along the way, and in a very quick amount of time. So I guess why I'm sharing that story, you bring that back around to, the statement I made before, there's nowhere to be, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to accomplish, there's nothing to figure out. That kind of just drops you really into the moment. And then you feel your own presence, you feel your own energy, you feel the presence of this moment, and you move from there rather than move towards a goal. You move, from what you love towards what you love. But it's not like, well, when I get my commercial license, or when I go solo again, or when I get my private pilot license. So you see, none of that was true. I mean, of course obviously you're doing flight training, and of course the whole point of it is to get your commercial, or get your pilot license, I should say. Mm-hmm. But that's, if you go back and peel the onion layer away and go, why do I want to get that, right? Like, forget about that timestamp or that outcome or that result. Why do I want? Because I love flying. Well, guess what? You're flying right now in your training. Yes, you have your instructor sitting next to you, but you're doing all the flying. Like, and that's what I would do. So that's my key. My key is not to focus on the result or an outcome. So if bringing this back to, a new year, I'm reflecting and acknowledging who I've become, not what I've achieved. Not like, yes, I acknowledge and I sometimes reflect on some of the things that have happened, but it's now, who am I because of that? That's the real question that you want to ask. And even like, it's like, well, what is it that you love? And what do you want to take? What's within you that you want to bring out into the world outside of you next year? But don't turn that into a result or outcome. Like, for me, if it was me back in 2013, I might have sat there 2013, the clock, time coming, wrapping up for the year. I might have sat there and gone, in 2014, I just want to bring this love I have for flight and bring it out. Because the love I feel is within me. I want to bring my world within me out. So, but I don't then go, well, I know I would have brought that out when I got this result or this outcome. It's not about that result or outcome. It's about that I love to fly, and I'm acknowledging that I get to fly. The results and outcomes, that's the thing, that stuff takes care of itself. You just need to take care of yourself and bring your attention to why you're doing what you're really doing. It's not about the result. You think about anything that you do, we get hoodwinked by the result. If that's a word I can use there, that's the word that's dropping it. Hoodwinked by the result. We lose ourselves by placing our attention on the result or the outcome. It's like, why do you do what you do? I love flying. Why do I do what I'm doing right now? I love sharing about the feeling, this what resides within me, the relationship that I have within me. I want to bring that out. It's not, how many people listen to this, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There is a part of you that goes, wow, this many people listen to it. That's more than last time. And that's nice. That's nice. But that's not why you do it.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That's what hoodwinks you. And that's where you lose your flow, you lose your essence, your power. So again, that statement of there's nowhere to be, nothing to do, nothing to accomplish, nothing to figure out, doesn't mean you won't figure stuff out. Doesn't mean you won't accomplish things. Doesn't mean things won't get done. It's just, it's not the little you doing. The little you is sitting back down and then you're like, oh, I feel to do this. And you rise up, and look, that's probably a different conversation for a different podcast. But I'm just trying to explain to people why I don't focus on the outcome or result. Even what I do with you and my team, I love working with you, Christina. I love what we get to do together. Right now you're at Anna's house in LA, who's another team member. And I'm sure you guys love working with each other. I love all the team that we work with. We have Leah, we have Jared, and we have Kira. And we all love working together, and we all love doing what we do. That's what it's about. And we've got a retreat coming up in March, which is pretty much already sold out. And we get to hang out. We get to, before we run that retreat, we get to meet and, that's what it's about. It's about sharing this, first with yourself, second with your team, and third with the people who are actually open and receptive and looking for this. And that's what it's about. And when you remember that, you don't get lost in, I wish more people would be interested in this, or or the result, which you know what I'm talking about. So that's sorry.
I was going to say, so the danger is then saying I'll be happy when, right? Like when I accomplish this thing, rather than you're already feeling the joy in the moment of getting to do that now, or just getting to feel your connection to that love that you have for whatever that is. So I feel like that's huge, for people to go and take that away now at the end of the year, really feel into that for themselves and feel what that means for you, take some time and space for yourself, and maybe even use that mantra that you shared. I've used it so many times, and I really have to feel what that mantra actually means, and not just say it as a mantra. And the space that then has opened up for me to just be so at peace with myself, to be able to then feel what's there, the love that's already there. I love that for people to be able to experience that at the end of this year. I know it's probably been a tough year for a lot of people, and just to be able to bring in some of that new energy and focus and bring that into what you're going into for 2024.
I also want to pick up something else. What you said just kind of dropped in something for me. I just mumbled something there, came out. But what I was trying to say is that it's really important for people to understand that, because they hear what I'm saying, they're like, okay, so I got to let go of my goals. It's not really necessarily about your goals. It's about your control that you place on, it's like, and the meaning you place on it. It was when I have this, or if I have this, then that means I'm worthy of doing what I love to do. No. No one. You're the one that's putting that meaning onto it. So it's about letting go of the meaning you place on the goal. It's and I just want to kind of say that, just it doesn't mean when I said I accomplished all these things, it doesn't mean it happened. It happened, easily. Like it was effortless for me, and it was effortless because I was doing what I love to do. And when you're doing what you love to do, or when you're when you're doing it for the right reason, and the right reason is because you love it. There's no truer, more powerful reason than because I love it. Turn that into because I want to get my commercial license, because that's what I want to do for a job. I get it. That's important, right? But the love you have for flight is bigger than I want to do that for a job. And that outcome and result will eventuate. It will take care of itself when you take care of yourself, right? But I just want to say, like, through that time, through that period that I accomplished all those things, it doesn't mean I didn't go through doubts. It doesn't mean I didn't go through financial restrictions. I mean, putting money into an aviation business is really, really expensive. And I put everything I had, right? Because I stopped speaking. I stopped making money from what I was doing. And for the next 2 years, I just put everything I had into aviation, and I was willing to do that, and I did that, and I still do that. It doesn't mean that there wasn't a risk of failure. Yeah, well, hell, there was a risk of, but it doesn't mean like. So you see what I'm saying? It's just, someone might love to climb Mount Everest. It doesn't mean there's no risk involved. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It becomes effortless because it's what you feel true to do. And if you're doing it for the truest reason, it becomes effortless. When you're doing what you're doing because it's the real reason, and the real reason is because I love it. And you can't bullshit yourself with that. You can't just go, yeah, I want to make good money, but okay, yeah, because I love it. You can't bullshit yourself, right? Yeah. It's like when you're coming from that space of I'm doing this because I absolutely love it. That is when when you're experiencing yourself at being effortless. But effortless doesn't mean there's no more risk involved. It doesn't mean it's not difficult. It's still difficult. You still have to work hard, right? It means that you just keep showing up. And you're thriving, you're energized, you're inspired. So I just kind of want to put that in there because you hear that story and you're like, oh, wow. So he just let go of the control or the meaning he placed on these goals. He didn't even think about the goals. He just went and started. And then 18 months later, 2 years later, he's like, boom, wow, okay, maybe I can do that. Well, no, I still did everything that was in front of me. I just didn't give up. I had the first doubt that I had was when I couldn't go solo. I was like, oh my God, I can't even get signed off to go solo. Like that was the first bit of doubt. And I was just like, well, maybe it's not I had to face those demons, face those doubts, and I still go ahead. So anyway, my point here is, we place meaning on what the goals, mean. If I achieve this, then I feel worthy of it. Or if I achieve this, then people will see me in a higher light, a higher level. So therefore, I feel worthy in other people's eyes. If that's not why you do it, if you swim, you love swimming. Yes, I know when you win a gold medal, there's this whole thing. But if it was just about the gold medal, after you win the gold medal, you'd be depressed. Yeah. And that's what happens. There's so many athletes or superstars, it's like, sometimes people get off stage after they've, been singing to 20,000 people and they feel depressed afterwards, right? You got to connect to why you do what you do. Don't attach that to the result and outcome. Don't attach a meaning to that outcome. When I have this, that means I've accomplished. Bringing this all the way back around, the whole point is you look at your year and you look and you acknowledge in who you've become. Even if you're like, I've gone backwards, but you never go backwards in the person you've become. Even if you failed, even if you did the wrong thing, you're judging yourself for, right? Even if you have doubts and regrets, you're now more ahead than you were before. Do you understand? Wow. In who you are. You might be if you're measuring in what you've done and what you have, you might be like, I'm not ahead, right? But if you measure, the most powerful thing you can measure is who you've become. Well, you've never gone backwards. Even though you've made a mistake, you've now learnt. You've now become wiser. You've become more conscious, right? So you've never gone backwards. You're always going forwards and evolving when it comes to, and even if you're like, well, no, I haven't evolved. I've gone backwards. And the moment you've realized you've gone backwards, you're now 10 steps forward than where you ever were.
Yeah.
So you never go backwards in who you become. So look at your year, reflect on it. Sure, look at what you've done, look at what you have, but most importantly, ask yourself the question about and acknowledge who you've become because of those. Yeah. Because of the love that you found in a relationship, because of the rejection you had, because of the failure you had, because of the breakup in a relationship you had. Because of your, new health, because of your failure of your health. Look at who you've become and acknowledge that. That's where the power is. And then you can look into the new year and look at who you're becoming by going, what part of me do I want to bring out? And sometimes, it's an idea, it's a love to do something, it's a love to be a sort of, but don't put I know people tell you put a deadline on it and put a goal. If you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail and all that stuff. And that's true. Sometimes when you're like when I'm operating my aircraft, there's fuel plans, engine plan, like there's meteorology. You look at what the weather's doing, and you make decisions around whether you should fly or not and how much fuel you need. You're flying an aircraft, a machine. But when it comes to matters of love, your heart is not a machine. You never fell in love with someone, whether it's your kids or romantic or whatever. That love that you have for someone, you didn't mechanically decide. It wasn't system. It wasn't 1 + 1 = 2. It wasn't if they did this, then I would love them. No, you just realized that you love them. You can't plan love. So when it comes to you becoming the greater version of yourself, which is a version of yourself that you love, when it comes to you doing what you love, when it comes to you falling in love, like when it comes to matters of love, you can't plan that stuff. We're not machines. Love is not a machine. So that's my reflection of the year. I look at who I've become and I look at who I'm becoming, and I acknowledge that. And just one thing that I will add, because sometimes there's things that have gone wrong this year in the story, like you've lost money, you lost a business, and you really can't let go of it. Whatever has happened for me in my year that I think of myself there was a loss, I always go, it could be worse. It could have been worse. And most times, I would say 99%, I would say 100%, but I'll leave that 1% because I will never say never. But, so far, whenever I said it could be worse, I always find, wow, that could have been worse. That really could have been worse. And if you're saying, well, no, it couldn't have been worse, that was a worst case scenario. No, it could have, look for it. And the moment you acknowledge that it could have been worse, you start to be appreciative that it wasn't. And you start to become grateful of, whatever it is that you lost. You find a level of appreciation. But again, if you can bring that back to, from that loss, who have you become? Or who you're becoming? That's the power. But if you've, I only say what I just said because I know some people are not willing to let go of their loss, their failure. They lost their wife or husband, in a relationship breakup, whatever. There's some things that some people are not willing to let go straight away, and I completely understand. And I've been in that situation, and I continue to find myself sometimes in that situation. And I always ask myself, and people running a business, you're always going to experience up and down. Right? Yeah. It could have been worse, Amir. And I immediately see worst scenarios that it could have been. And I'm like, suddenly I'm okay with the scenario that I'm in. Right? That I find is really supportive. But again, it really comes down to you acknowledging, finding, realizing and who you become or who you're becoming.
Yeah.
That's the power.
Oh gosh, I love everything you've shared. I feel like it's such a powerful conversation to end the year on. And I just want to say one thing, because this has been such a powerful realization for me as I've taken this journey. And that's that, you always say life is happening for you, not to you.
Yep.
And what I realized through that, and like in relation to what you're saying about, we sometimes think that we've gone backwards. And what you said, so it's so powerful to acknowledge, like, you never actually go backwards. Because I have forgotten that so many times. Like, I just forget because I'm in the thick of it and it feels like I'm back where I started and, all hope is lost or whatever. And it's like, then I come to realize as I apply the work and feel what needs to be felt and stuff, that, oh my gosh, this is happening for me. And it's happening for me, not because I don't have the capacity and because I'm back where I started, but because I do now have the capacity. And that has been such a profound realization for me. And I wanted to share that with people in case they're feeling that at the end of the year, like, this is where I thought I'd be and all of that. But it's like, gosh, like, you can never actually go backwards. I just love that you said that.
And, I just want to highlight what you've said there, because yes, life is happening for you. And as I always say, it's happening for you in order for you to wake up, in order for you to become, in order for you to become the greatest version of yourself. So like you said, oh, it's not happening because you don't have the capacity. It's happening to help you grow your capacity. It's happening the way it's happening because it's helping you become the person that you're becoming. And that's why I'm getting people to acknowledge who I've become. And if you're not measuring, the result from, if you stop measuring from what you've done and what you have, then you can never be disappointed. If you are measuring from what you've done, what you have, you will always go up and down. Like, life will just go up and down. Anyway, so it's, I could go on another tangent there, but
I know, I could keep going. So inspired. But yeah, thanks for this conversation. I really do. Like I said, I feel it's such a powerful way to end the year. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and also wish everyone a really happy new year, and just wish you the best peaceful time reflecting and taking on hopefully some of this conversation today for yourself and within yourself. So thanks, guys. And thanks, Amir.
Thank you, everyone. And yes, I just want to highlight what you've said. I hope everyone has a great festive season, and I wish you a happy and joyful new year. See you guys in 2024.
Yeah. See you then.